Welcome back to Wexham Investing, where we normally break down smart plays in digital markets. But in today's video, we're going to answer the question, is now a good time to buy CS2 skins? It's the big question, and we're going to answer it properly. But here's the difference. This video isn't just about me telling you what skins to buy. This is going to be a full, in-depth look at the market itself. We're going to cover everything that's happened in the past few months. We're going to break down the current market cap. We're going to talk about which cases have been trending down and where we can find some good entry points. We're also going to talk about what recent changes Valve has implemented and how old collections could behave in the future. By the end of this video, you'll be completely up to date. Think of this as the only video you'll need to understand what's happening in the CS2 skin market right now. Some of these things we'll cover you might already know, but I'll guarantee you'll learn something from this that most investors are overlooking. And those are the insights that help you spot the hidden gems before they explode in price. So if you've been feeling a bit lost, or if you just want one clear roadmap for making better CS2 investments, stick around because we're about to break it all down. Okay, starting off with the market itself. Before we can talk about cases, collections, or hidden gems, we need to first understand how the market is currently doing and how it's looked in the past and where it stands today. Right of now, the CS2 skins market is sitting at around $5 billion in total value. Earlier this year, it broke above that level for the first time ever. It then dipped and now it's recovered back to about 5 million by the summer. And that tells us that the market is strong. It's liquid and it's attracting new money. But the market cap is only one part of the story. What really shows the health of the market is the trading volume and liquidity. Every single day, thousands of trades are happening across the Steam and third-party platforms, and some items move very fast and some have huge daily turnovers, while others are thinly traded and harder to exit. For us as investors, that's critical. You want to know not just what an item is worth, but how easy it is to buy and sell out when you need to. Something else worth noticing is how different segments behave. Case prices, for example, tend to move with supply pressure, while stickers or rare collections can hold up much better during dips. By looking at indexes that track these categories, you can actually see which parts of the market are strong and which are lagging. So where do we stand today? The market is large, active, and liquid, and the value is sitting just below 5 billion. The trading volume is very healthy, and while some areas are cooling off, others are quietly gaining strength. And this is the foundation for everything else we're about to cover in this video. Now, before we go deeper, we need to quickly talk about the trade protection. I know most of you watching already know what it is, so I'll keep this very short. In July, Valve introduced a system that lets the player reverse trade within 7 days. If you roll back, the items get a fresh trade lock and your account is restricted for about a month. But for us investors, this matters because it's changed how the market flows. Liquidity has slowed down, and especially for short-term flips. Some traders pulled back, spreads widened, and the market just had to adjust. So why am I bringing this up? Because understanding this update explains a lot about why the market looks the way it does right now. It's not just about the supply and demand anymore. Trust and liquidity plays a bigger role, and now we can also see the market react more quickly to news updates or announcements, almost like a real-world economy responding to headlines. Since the trade protection, most items now have a longer holding period by default, which naturally reduces the liquidity. But here's the interesting part. Even with slower trading, prices have still rebounded. But if we were looking at this in the stock market, that would be considered one of the clearest buy signals. A strong rebound on reduced liquidity usually means underlying demand is healthy, and smart investors can take advantage of it. So, to sum it up, trades are slower, liquidity is tighter, but prices are bouncing back, which is exactly the kind of setup investors dream about. The market's signaling opportunity, and it's paying to pay attention. All right, now that we've covered the market overall, let's talk about the cases, because this is where a lot of the investment opportunities show up. And if you know how to approach them, it can be a really good investment. Right now, the active drop pool has 5 main cases: the Kilowatt, Revolution, the Recoil, Dreams and Nightmares, and the Fracture case. These are still being dropped regularly, and supply is consistent, which makes them a bit risky to invest in compared to the older ones. Think of the active cases a bit like gambling. I mean, yes, in theory, one could be rotated out unexpectedly and spike in value, but historically, that rarely happens. Most of the real long term gains have come from the older cases that are no longer being dropped. For example, the kilowatt case or the fever case are some of the most liquid active cases right now, but because they move a lot on the market, you can trade in and out relatively easy if you catch a dip. The revolution and recoil case behave similarly. You can find opportunity when prices drop, but these are short to mid-term trades, not guaranteed wins. And here's another important note about the Dreams and Nightmare. Unlike some of the older, rarer cases where the entire collection goes up, the demand here is almost entirely for the knives, not for the skins themselves inside of the Dreams and Nightmare case. That makes it less predictable for long-term holding unless you specifically target those rare knives from the Dreams and Nightmare case. With that being said, despite the risks, the active pool cases can still be an interesting investment, especially right now. With the small recent market crash combined with the liquidity patterns and strong demand, there are moments where buying in the right time could pay off. But remember, this is a short-term, high-risk trading. It's not a sure bet like the rare or the rotated cases. So when thinking about cases today, here's an approach. Active pool cases. They are the risky ones, and they have a risky buy-in, and they are more like a calculated gamble. Short to mid-term trading works best. Watch for the dips and be ready to exit. The rare or the rotated out cases historically is where the long-term gains are. They have some limited supply and a real potential for the hidden gems to explode. Yes, there are still rare cases being dropped, but this is a very small amount compared to what they are being opened. Understanding this split and timing your entries carefully is how you can take advantage of the market. This is where some of the money can be made inside of the cases. Now, let's talk about the old collections. This is where the long-term investment potential really lives. Unlike the active pool cases, these collections are no longer being dropped, which means the supply is limited. That scarcity is exactly what drives prices up over time. Let's take the Norse collection or the St. Marc's collection, for example. These collections have been seeing steady, continuous price increases over the years, often outperforming some of the best stocks. They've proven that slow, consistent growth in the CS2 market can be very profitable. And here's the great part. You don't need to buy the most expensive item to get in. If a Gungnir, for example, is out of reach for you, you can still focus on a light blue skin. And they are normally much more affordable but still part of the rising collection. Even those low tier items will benefit from the same scarcity and demand that the high-end skins are. With the recent influx of players and the small market crash, and the fact that demand is increasing while prices are temporarily lower, some of these old collections are at the great entry point right now. Buying in smartly could position you for a serious long-term gain. There are also other collections with very strong potential, for example the old train collection that I've talked about many times in my old videos, where you can find some light blue skins going for around 50 cents. But they're in high demand for trade-up contracts, which over time gives a real utility and a great investment upside. These small undervalued items can quietly appreciate over time and offer great returns if you're patient. So the takeaway here, stay focused on the limited supply collections for long-term growth. Consider the light blues if the high-end skins aren't an option, and keep an eye on the other collections like Train Collection for overlooked opportunities. These are the kind of hidden gems that makes the CS2 market so exciting for investors. Now that we've covered the market, trade protection, active cases, and old collections, let's look at near-term catalysts. The event and updates that could shake the market and create a new opportunity for you as an investor to invest and find a good entry point for you. Firstly, majors and tournaments, for example the PGL Austin Major that was happening earlier this year and the upcoming Budapest Major in November, they always have huge impacts. During these events, sticker capsules and souvenir items see a spike in demand, which could temporarily pull money out of other segments out of the market. That means that some active pool cases, for example, might dip slightly during the hype, creating a short-term buy-in opportunity for those savvy investors. And here on the Wexham Investing channel, you know that we'd like to find those buy-in opportunities. Next, Steam seasonal sales. The summer sale in June and the winter sale later in the year influence how players spend their money. When wallet funds are being used for sales, some cases or skins temporarily lose demand, which can create a window to buy underpriced items. Another key factor is armory content and case rotations. The new armory cases like the Fever case don't come from prime drops, which make them purchase gated. When Valve releases a new armory content, attention and capital shifts towards those, often creating short-term dips in older or active cases that you can take advantage of. Finally, a factor that often gets overlooked is trading liquidity fluctuations after major updates or market shifts. For example, after the trade protection rolled out, short-term liquidity dropped, but the demand remained strong. Those moments were trading moments where you could have invested your money. Because what happened after that? The market slowly recovered and now you could have been in your plus. So when looking for these near-term catalysts, here's what to remember. Majors and tournament, they drive temporarily shift in demand. Steam sales can create short-term dips. Armory content and case rotations influence supply and attention, and liquidity fluctuations after update or market changes can reveal short-term opportunities. By combining these insights with what we've learned about the market, trade protections, and old collections, you can start spotting opportunities before the rest of the market reacts. That's how you make money in CS2 skins. So, after everything we've covered, let's answer the question. Is now a good time to buy CS2 skins? The answer is simple. Yes. Prices have dipped, demand is still strong, and more players are entering the game every single day. Trade protection slowed things down for sure, but the market bounced back stronger than ever, which shows real strength. That means right now we're looking at one of the best entry points we've had in a while. So if you've been waiting for a moment to get in, this is it. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for my next video. I try to post daily. This has been Wexham Investing. Peace out.